Welcome to Kranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Kranky, and this is the Kranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Kranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out, subscribe now to the Kranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Kranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Hey people, so I'm excited. I'll start early now. I have started the program 2 minutes early. So some people will come in and say, Kranky, you have 7 o'clock. Professional organizations start their things at the exact time they said. But I had some things I wanted to get out first, and I'm not sure what time the president will turn up, and I wanted to get them out first before the time. Good evening, Anthony Roberts. Good afternoon. I think it's night time in your region. I see you have me there as the Stan Kranky instead of KRA and KY. Bless up, Vinci. Thanks for being here. Johnny Powell, bless up and thanks for being here. And people, as you come in, which has been good so far, please keep the Kranky on the low profile and let's not have any cranky tonight. Please hit the like button as you come into the program. President always stuck at the door. Good night, Duckland. Good night, Duckland. Well, no, we were supposed to be here tomorrow, tomorrow. It may be tomorrow. We were supposed to be here yesterday, but that didn't materialize. So hopefully it occurs today. And I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I had a program yesterday, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Watching Giants versus Cowboys. Both teams are going nowhere, Vinci. Why are you watching them? Both of them are going nowhere. Really, really bad. My Giants have been awful. Oh, you want balanced views? Yeah, go on. I put balanced views there because I'm trying to build up. People, if you haven't subscribed to balanced views, please do so. I really want to bifurcate. Wait. People, let me start. My guest is here, and I don't want to be rude. So let me bring Mr. Ricketts on board. Mr. Ricketts, you're on board, but your camera, you may have to reset your camera, because we only see your eyes. And they're magnificent eyes, but we want to see your entire face. So wonderful. Glad to see you. By the way, people, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks for being here. I have the esteemed pleasure of having with me this afternoon. I'm not even going to have another background of people. I have Mr. Michael Ricketts, who is Mr. Ricketts. Your camera is now slanted, and we're seeing you sideways. You got to flip it. Yeah, that's better. Exactly. That's wonderful. Now, here's my question to you. Because I know Jamaica.
Are you hearing me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Seem like you're moving, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. I'm at the hotel with the girls, so I'm trying.
So you want to find some location and come back? I can fill the gap in between.
Let me do that. Let me find somewhere.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Everyone. So that is Michael Ricketts. As you know, Jamaica plays South Africa tomorrow at Catering Hall in Montego Bay, and the president is there with the girls, obviously doing a lot of, and so I really appreciate him taking the time out because, as you can imagine, that's why he didn't turn up yesterday, because I think he said he had some emergency meeting. There's a lot that's happening, right? Now, he said with the reggae girls, Duckland, and you know better than Duckland. I know why you're doing that. Good night, Chorus. Thanks for joining. Midnight Cowboy. For those of you who are here, thanks for joining. People, Mr. Rick is not here, so I can be miserable. And then I can act real professional when he gets back. You're not hitting the like button. It's 62 of you, and it's only 32 likes. That doesn't work, people. I'm trying to bring you quality content. The least you can do is hit the like button. And I said to myself, I will not be miserable anymore. I will just ask for the like if I don't get it and move on. But people, Thanksgiving, people may take time from a family. See, we have a DJ competition that we should be doing right now, and I tend to postpone it until I finish this interview. I already write my hit song here. for Thanksgiving, and you guys can't hit the like button. What are we doing? Come on, people. We can't take time away from my family when we're supposed to enjoy. We just had a wonderful meal. We can't barely walk and talk because I've ate too much. I have to hit the gym tomorrow, and the food was beyond delicious. So come people hit the like button, man. 41 and 71. That's not good, people. That is not good. That cannot be okay. And I'm sure it's gonna be. You'll enjoy the discussion with the president. He's trying to find a good location, a private location, so he can come back in and we can have the dialogue. So hit the like button, people. And I know that you are probably if you're with your family in the US where Thanksgiving is celebrated. I hope you had a wonderful day with you and your family. Hope you have a lot. You're blessed with a lot. Continue to be blessed. And if you think you're not blessed, then you become blessed and things work out well for you and your family. Well, come on, people, man. Hit the like button. Trust me, it's free. It's free. I promise you it will not cost you any money if you just press that thumbs up under my logo. It's not going to hurt you. No, I don't eat meat, Chorus. In fact, we don't have, here's the thing, people. We don't have turkey in our house. No. We are West Indians. So we had curry goat, baked chicken, potato salad. Obviously, I had eggs coming. That's my only meat kind. I'm supposed to be a vegan, but sometimes you backslide. You know that go. We had sorrel, rice and peas, baked potatoes. People, too much food. People, too much. It's actually sickening. Seriously. I don't cook. I provide the resources for the food. I provide the resources, people. As my family tell me, you provide the resources. You sit back. You run your house. You don't run around your house, which I felt very good about. I like to run around my house because I'm a little bit seasoned. And then you pay for it, and I pay for it. So we're good. Feliz Navidad. What's that? Feliz Dia del Pavo. I don't eat meat. I don't eat any meat. No. Good evening, Chris P. Thanks for joining. As you come in, people, please hit the like button as you come in. I know some of you won't hit it because you are who you are. But those of you who don't have an aversion to hit the like button, please do so. Bless up float. Chicken season. No. I don't. I have not eaten any meat. It's not going to happen. I don't like to say never, ever about anything in life, but I don't see me eating meat. I just can't see it. I've been there, done that. Pork. Hey, Nature. I stopped eating pork when I was about 10, you know. Even Rasta thing was big in Jamaica, and the man said, pork is an abomination to the Lord, Jah Rastafari. Fire burn for the wicked. I stopped eating pork then. Maybe about 10. I got Russies. No, I got Russies. I got primary school, actually. Russies after that. So I stopped eating pork. So no, I don't eat pork. I haven't eaten pork since I was 10 years old. And you know, that's been a long time ago. I don't eat pork. Yeah, please hit the like button, people. 85. You know, I watch this thing like a hawk, right? Because like and comments drives traffic. That's what I've been told. The algorithm works. So hit the like button. Rastafari. Yeah, man. Rasta, you know. Hey, people. So we're going to bridge the time between now and Michael Ricketts. One time I was in the military and I came back. And in the military, I hated the food, right? And they have something called separate rations or something, where if you can use religious reasons to get compensation for food, you don't have to eat the mess. I call it mess off food, and a real mess, people. So I came back to New York and I said, well, who me know? I know a person was a dread, a lady, and I said, me got 12 tries meetings and we can get some designation. Me go I tell you, Star. Different experience, man. I tell you. Different experience. First and last. First of all, them not give ballad no designation as a Rasta. See? Maybe that time it wasn't about the heart of being a Rasta, it was about the hair. But I tell you, it was an experience. I'm not gonna talk about some of the things I experienced in that meeting. Come tell you. It's not fit for public consumption, but it was interesting. I am probably short on vitamin B. I take pills for that, actually. I try to balance it. I do take the supplements. So hopefully the supplements can work. Good evening, Bessa Documentary. Good evening, Pristine. I am, if you just joined us, Michael Ricketts, the president of the Jamaica Football Federation, is trying to find a good look. Hopefully he doesn't run into anyone and anyone have a conversation there, so we're in trouble, because you know those things work. Because I'm sure everybody wants his attention. He was kind enough. We were supposed to meet yesterday, but as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 games with the Reggae Girls. One is tomorrow, and I think one's the subsequent day after that. I think one is tomorrow, one is what, Sunday? Or something like that. They're Catching Hall in Montego Bay. They're playing South Africa. And he's there, as you can imagine, being the leader of the organization and doing a ton of stuff. But he was kind enough to say he would come on. I asked him to come on and join us Monday. All right, thanks, Javari. So they're playing Friday and Monday. I catch you now. If you're in Jamaica and you are able to do so, I'm sure you can go to tomorrow game. Monday may be difficult if you're at work, but try to get to the game. Try and get to the game. That's important, people, to support the reggae girls. Because the girls have made 2 World Cup already. They didn't get to the Gold Cup, this first inaugural Gold Cup, because of the situation with the JFF. But they are a team to be proud of, so we should definitely go and support them tomorrow. And I have the distinct pleasure of bringing back Mr. Ricketts to the table. So you're much more confident with Prezi. Maybe it's Prezi. That's what Dennis calls you. So I'm gonna say Prezi.
Of course, that's fine.
All right, Prezi. So Prezi, I have a lot of questions.
Okay,
right?
I hope I'll be able to answer your question, sir.
I will never ask a question that is not part of your purview to be able to answer. So let's go back a little bit. You and I are what I'm going to call a seasoned person. Meaning we've spent a lot of time on the earth. But I want you to go way back. So my first question, first of all, I'm going to say this before I go that Mr. Ricketts has been president of the Jamaica Football Federation since what, 2017?
2017, correct. September 2017.
And let me just read from the manifesto, people. I'm not going to go to Wikipedia, because I'm going to trust Wikipedia, which was put up by the JFF, some of his achievements. There's a lot of them. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to summarize. Some important things, like hosting the FIFA Executive Summit in 2018, qualifying for 2 Women's World Cup, as you know, never been done before in Jamaica's football. The under-15 finished 14-23 and CONCACAF under-15. The under-14 recently won the Caribbean under-14 competition, securing very lucrative, I understand, FIFA Adidas kit deal, made the Copa this year, came 3rd in the Nations League this year, came 4th in the Gold Cup or 3rd in the Gold Cup? I may be mistaken. Is that the game?
Yeah.
Is working to improve both refereeing and coaching in the region. There's a bunch of other achievements, right? I can't go through every single one of them, but just a sort of synopsis of those achievements. So let's jump into this, Prezi. I don't know how much time you have, but whatever time you have, I want to make sure I make it productive and make sure we're efficient in doing so. First question. Can you share insights into your early childhood? Because I want to go back and talk about the man first, then the present JFF, and some other things. So where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay, fair enough. I grew up in the parish of Clarendon. Went to primary school there. Then went to the very, very famous Glenmere High School.
You mean currently, because they're doing really well nowadays. Well, go ahead.
They're doing very, very well. They did really well. Then, of course, I graduated from school, was involved in football in my own community. Then I got attached to a football powerhouse in those days, Veer Technical High School, where I actually managed the Veer team in the late 70s and early 80s. In fact, we won the DaCosta Cup and the Oliver Shield in 1980, and the inaugural playing of the Ben Francis in 1982. I was then co-opted to serve with the Clarendon Football Association under the leadership of Dr. Dawes. Then I eventually became president when Dr. Dawes was elevated to the position of the JFF president. So I actually served as president of the Clarendon FA 2 times, because I had actually resigned my position. And then my friend and I, Jimmy Chin, formed a club called Galaxy. Galaxy actually went on to participate in the Premiership. When Galaxy went defunct, I got re-engaged in administration. So I went back into the Clarendon FA as a vice president, eventually became president again. Afterwards, I served as chairman of the
Before you go further, who were your role models growing up and mentors?
From my early days, the Clarendon College, Kenneth Campbell from Vertec certainly would have influenced my whole being into football from a football perspective.
Okay.
Then, of course, my community would have had some influence on my footballing sojourn. But I became deeply involved when we really started Galaxy, Jimmy Chin and myself. And we really did well as a club. Thereafter, in fact, in those days we had Hazard and Galaxy. Both of them were owned by two Chinese friends. So that orchestrated a kind of rivalry, second to none. Then, like I said, after that, I became president for the Clarendon FA, then chairman for the South Central Confederation. I became a director at the JFF. One time I had responsibility for refereeing, then for club licensing, and then eventually I became a vice president to the late Captain Burrell. After Captain Burrell passed, Bruce Gaynor acted for a very short while, maybe for 4 or 5 months. Then I took over. There was an election. I actually won. That was in 2017, September of 2017. I've been president then. Didn't play too much football. In fact, I was a better cricketer. But the football bug bit me, and I've been under siege since then. But I'm enjoying it.
Under siege, is that good siege or bad siege?
It is very good, honestly.
Okay.
But the important thing is when you see young players matriculate into wholesome human beings, then there's a sense of achievement. I went to a function some months ago, and there were 7 players from Glenmuir, 7, who had actually gotten scholarships to universities in the US. And these are the things that make you feel a sense of achievement and feel motivated.
So how has football, your personal journey in football, shaped your leadership style? You and I have talked tangentially about this a little bit. How does that shape your football leadership style?
The truth is, I grew up in a Christian environment, so I was taught correct procedures. I was taught to be honest. I grew up, like I say, in an environment that shaped my social well-being. And from there on, my parents were poor, but they taught me real values, and that certainly would have made me into whom I am today. I am just eternally grateful. I grew up as an ordinary boy, learned to fly kite, learned to shoot bird, went to river, learned how to swim. So I grew up as a real ordinary person, but I do have much to be thankful for.
It appears that way. So if you think about your journey from Clarendon all the way to your current position, and think about some of the major milestones and challenges you face along the way, can you sort of talk about those? Because there are a number of milestones, right? You went Glenmuir, Veer, Clarendon FA, JFF, and you've had challenges and milestones and achievements along the way. Talk about some of those.
I tell you, some of the major ones certainly would be what would have happened with our youth programs in Clarendon. And this was orchestrated by 2 gentlemen, Mr. Lloyd Plummer, Mr. John Green. Both have passed. But these 2 gentlemen would have crafted a way forward. And that is now sustainable. It has been, and that certainly is still influencing our high schools. I chaired the school board at Garvey Masio for an extended period. I was instrumental in getting a roadmap for their football program, and they have done very well. I actually went to Glenmuir, so you know have to understand my allegiance has been shared. But when you look at Clarendon College, who would have dominated schoolboy football for a number of years, very technical, now Glenmuir, and of course Garvey, all of these schools would have done exceedingly well at schoolboy football. And I think simply because the Clarendon Youth Program years ago was probably second to none. I remember some years ago, Simons had taken a Jamaican team to Brazil. And I recall on the field of play, Jamaica was playing a game. There were 5 Clarendon players on the field. And I just thought that when you actually start a program that, like I've said, would have positively influenced the well-being of young men and women, then it gives you a feeling of satisfaction.
So, what do you consider your most major rewards and achievements as JFF president?
I tell you, it's hard to pinpoint any single achievement, but as it is now, to have gone to 2 consecutive global tournaments, to have, as it is now, done so very well from a fiscal perspective. Because when we took over the JFF, we were indebted to the tune of $380 million. As it is now,
US dollars or Jamaican dollars?
Jamaican dollars. As it is now, we have virtually cleared that debt, and we're looking now to reorganize some of our programs that we have put on hold to facilitate the process of clearing up the debt. So we now owe the government $0. We have our own tax compliance certificate, and if you're not tax compliant, then you can't have that. So these probably would have been 2 of our major achievements, and we are intent on getting things absolutely right, both from a commercial standpoint and from a technical standpoint.
So as you think about going forward, what are some of the most significant and major challenges that JFF face and football face in Jamaica going forward? And how do you plan to address and tackle those challenges?
We have a board, we have some directors, and it is now down to 11. And we were coming from as many as 34, I think. Then we went to 19, now we're at 11. And FIFA was very instrumental in getting these numbers down. And it was a major, major challenge. But we eventually were able to have achieved the 11 directors that are now far more cohesive, far more of an alliance, far more a group that works together. And we have set up a number of standing committees that have done so very well. Our technical committee headed by Rudolph Speed, our competitions committee headed by Gregory Daly, our finance committee, all these committees, or refereeing committee, or coaching department, have all done so very well. When you think that, as it is now, we're in the process of having 500 coaches certified at the D license level to ensure that at the primary school, that the kids are starting on the right footing. Because if not, I mean, I have known situations where it's just the most popular teacher becomes the coach, is probably the neighbor that is the coach. Is probably somebody who's just excited about football. Nobody with any formal kind of a training. Now we are trying to reorganize that department, and in collaboration with government, Minister Grange, Ray and Neville, and the technical department at the JFF, we have started the process of engaging 500 young coaches to ensure that they have at least a D license. And we're very hopeful and optimistic that those same 500 D licensed coaches next year will make the transition and move to being C licensed. So the important thing really is to get loyal and committed person, and the right person in the positions of need, very important. And we've been able to do that. When we wanted a GenSec, and I approached, in fact, I prayed about it, and I was led to Dennis Strong. And he refused at least 2 or 3 times, and then eventually came on board. And that would have significantly improved our fiscal and our commercial value. Then we wanted a technical chairperson, and we went for Speed. And Speed has so far done an excellent job. When we had issues with our women's coach, we were intent on qualifying for the World Cup. We went for Lon Donaldson, and it worked. So the important thing is to get the right people, the loyal, committed people, to do the job, and that is what we are intent on doing.
So, Percy, there are a lot of things that come out of what you just said, but I must try to stay on track and come back to some of those. I did a program the other day, and I was trying to sort out who are the world-class footballers Jamaica has produced since its inception, and I struggled to do so. The only world-class footballer I could come up with for the English-speaking Caribbean was Dwight York, right? I couldn't point out another world-class footballer. We have a good footballers, Fuller, Gardner, Shelton. What are we doing as a country? And I think you mentioned the 500 coaches at the D, trying to get D license. It just seemed like we need to have a reset, reconfiguration, rethinking. So first question, do we have a strategy for football, for the football program? Because when I look at Spain, for example, and read through their strategic document, it's clear direction of travel for them. And I've read the manifesto again before I came on this program. Do we have a strategy? That's the first thing. And what does that strategy entail to change the football?
This certainly rests with our technical committee.
Okay.
And we have quite a few A-licensed coaches right now. Speed, Peart, Reynolds, Gilbert, and Maron Gordon. And if you look at the success of the schools and the clubs, these names will figure prominently. And it goes to show that once you get good qualified coaches, of course, in addition to other things, you're going to need pitches, you're going to need stadium, you're going to need equipment, then you can move your program forward. Pitches, for example, is a sore point, but we're intent on having this corrected. We are looking at having at least one mini stadium in each of the 4 regions. We have the Captain Borough Center of Excellence as it is now, so we could say we have had 1. So we need at least 3 more. Once we strengthen the coaching department, strengthen our technical department, then strengthen infrastructure, then I think we are on the way to producing some good world-class players.
Where are you going to get the resources to provide these facilities that you sort of indicate, right? You mentioned you need about 3 more sort of structures or facilities to enable your vision to materialize. Where are you going to get the resources to do so?
No, that's where the challenge is. Because if you look at a country like Trinidad, for example, Trinidad has maybe 4 or 5 decent stadium. The agency that is similar to the SDF provides a lot of support for its national teams. So when a national team from Trinidad is traveling, they don't have to worry about how your travel bills will be paid, because that agency takes care of all its national teams as it relates to traveling. When you look at Guyana, they have a government that gives far more support. If you look at even St. Vincent, Gonzalez made this massive disclosure some days ago that the government will be putting plans in place to provide stipend and to provide better playing facilities for the teams in St. Vincent. Bonaire, which is a very small country, I don't think Bonaire is even an affiliate of FIFA, but they do have 3 or 4 fields because the support cast is present and offers help to these member associations. We certainly will need to try and market the product some more to ensure that other than our parent organizations rather, CFU, CONCACAF, and FIFA, that we can, and as it is now, we have established and hoping to maintain a very decent relationship with our parent organization so that they will be so satisfied that they will want to reach out to us and give us some support.
All right, so I'm going to touch on the stakeholder as a separate topic. I'm going to stay on player and coach development for the moment, because you mentioned the number of coaches who are applying for the D license. You mentioned the number of coaches who said, I have A license. What are we doing in terms of the development of footballers? Mainly sits with, in Jamaica, I think, high schools and maybe the academies that we have, like JPL teams, for example. How is the JFF working with those organizations to help with the development of youngsters for football across the island?
All right, well, we have set up what we call a TDS program, a talent development scheme.
Okay.
And we have scouts. So the role and functions of these scouts will be, of course, to look at, starting with our schoolboy teams, and try and extract from these teams the best under 14, the best under 15, and of course the best under 17. Now the intention is to get the cream of the crop into an organized setting. And as it is now, and I suspect that based on what we are doing now, we did so very well at the Caribbean, the CFU's under 14 challenge series. I mean, we didn't just win, but we were very, very convincing in doing so. I mean, to get into a final and to have won by 7 goals to 1 speaks volumes for the organization, the preparation, and the execution of that particular unit. And it would make sense to commend Coach Peart, who, like I've said, is one of those A-licensed coaches who did so very well with this under 14 team. So we are, as part of the TDS program, we are intent on selecting the best players throughout the schools and have them. Next year will be the CONCACAF under 15. And we're hoping that the set of under 14s that would have done so very well at the CFU tournament can make the transition, of course, adding and taking away some players. But the important thing right now is the development of our young players. And we must ensure that we have a relationship with ISA because we do not have as many organized clubs that would have these young players under their wings so that we could go through the respective clubs. So at age 14 and 15, we must work very closely with ISA to ensure that we establish a kind of a partnership where we can extract from the schools the best players and have them in an organized setting. So we take these players into Kingston at the Captain Burrell Center of Excellence and then have them in an organized setting. That's where the process is right now. Well, under 17s, I think we have a nicely organized under 17 program. Freddie Butler is the head coach. Omar McFarlane is the general manager for the under 17. I think we are going to do very well. I think we will qualify for the U17 global tournament, that's the World Cup, which incidentally will now be held every year. So we must have a kind of a succession planning to ensure that the under 14s matriculate to the under 15s and then by extension to the under 17, because we must have a under 17 nucleus of players that will always challenge, that will always have the quality to head to Qatar every year from here on.
So, Mr. President, with all due respect, and people who follow my channel will know I've talked about this quite a bit, I commend the under 14 for winning the Caribbean Championship, but I've said this numerous times. Our competition in this region is no longer the English-speaking Caribbean or the Caribbean in general. I know we draw with Cuba at the National Stadium for the senior team, but I think our competition is mainly the US, Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras. Well, I say Panama, and to a lesser extent, Honduras. So how do we ensure that these players, because if you look at the under 20, which I know people know I would bring up, we struggled at the under 20 in the CONCACAF tournament. Part of that struggle seemed to have related to us not leveraging players who were born overseas. So here's my question to you, Pressy, which is this. Is there a way for us to achieve our goals locally without the quota system that then denies individuals who are naturalized citizens a chance to play for the team who are junior players? I know we have some of those in the under 17, but Freddie's doing, because I know Freddie. But the question is a more holistic one, which is, how can we satisfy the objective of the JFF and your local stakeholders, at the same time not deny opportunities for those who are from the diaspora, but who wants to play for the Jamaica national team at a junior level? Because those players will eventually matriculate to the senior team. And right now, it appears that our recruiting process is for players who may have, I hate to use this, say maybe past their prime, versus those who may be at Ajax, Chelsea, Tottenham, who may want to play for us, but are not able to do so because we have a quota system.
You see, I personally think that the best players ought to, at all times, play for your country.
Right.
But at the same time, it ought not to be at the expense of your development program. It's kind of difficult to get around that. But the quota system is something that was established by our board of directors in an effort to ensure that our young players are still motivated to get into your national setup and to make the transition. But I am still saying that I would love to have the best player or the best players at all time on the field of play. It's something that we will, as a board, will probably need to look at, we'll probably need to revise. But my sentiment certainly would be that every single player that qualifies through whatever means to play for Jamaica ought to be given an opportunity. The big problem here, though, the big problem here is affordability, or the lack of it. We will never be able to put all the resources in the under 14s, the under 15s, the under 17s, the under 20s on either side of the gender. And if we are not in a position to do so, then some of these teams are going to struggle big time.
Right.
As it is now, we've been able to put a group together for the under 17s. So they have done so very well. They have been able to attract sponsors. Hence, I think the under 17 has been properly prepared. They go off to Mexico, I think the second day of January, to participate in a tournament. They have had numerous camps. In fact, a camp with
Uh-oh. Wi-Fi has killed us, people, it looks like. I think we have lost the president, and we're just getting started.
sorry about that. Because we've been able to provide financial support for under 17.
Yeah, Prezi, look like your Wi-Fi is messing up, Prezi. We're having some technical difficulties, people. Please bear with us. Hopefully, I won't lose him, because we're just getting into the meat of the discussion. This is not good. Because I am 10% of my questions have been asked already. Hopefully he has the time. I'm not giving up on this, people. I don't want to give up on this. Uh-oh, I've lost him. Hopefully he comes back, people, because I think I probably said we are 15% of the questions, and I know some of you are making your snide comment in the comment section. I've seen them, and it's your prerogative. You believe that interview should be conducted a certain way. I think I'm trying to get the president to tell me about what's happening in Jamaica in the football program, but I think it's important. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
I was sweating a while ago. I was sweating, so I thought I lost you. So you were saying, sorry.
Say that again.
No, I said I thought I'd lost you. So let's go back. You were talking about the under 17 and how well they're doing.
Right.
Is there a quota? Is there a quota in that team, or is it just anyone who's available and good enough, the coach put them in your team for that team?
The under 17s, I think the quota for the under 17s, maybe 6 or 7, I think. But of course, the board of directors has the authority to make adjustments. The quota system was designed exclusively to ensure that our young local players are given an opportunity to matriculate. And of course, it is important that we expose our young players as best as possible. But I'm still saying that from my own perspective, I think that at all times we ought to have the best players on the field.
So here's my suggestion, Prezi. If the JFF is open to suggestion, and none of us has a monopoly on intellectual capital and on thoughts, if you get suggestion which suggests to work, because look, the quota system is unconstitutional, both for Jamaica itself and for the JFF, because I read the JFF manifesto and I've read the JFF document, the constitution, right? It basically talks about not discriminating, which is what it is. I don't want to belabor the point and derail this interview. But my view is this. Is the JFF on the board open to suggestion which may allow you to satisfy what you're trying to achieve, which I don't disagree with, which is to allow players to be incentivized and to have the opportunity to play for the national team or develop locally. And my hope would be that in a point in time, we will have, just like in the US, where affirmative action is now being dismissed by the courts, we'll get to the point where there's meritocracy, where players are good enough to compete across the globe, and we don't necessarily need to have a quota. Is the JFF and yourself open to suggestions which may help to alleviate some of that in the short term, with the hope that long term we'll get to where we need to get to, which is utopia?
Of course, my policy has always been an open door. And earlier in my stint, I had set aside a particular day in each week that anybody who wants to come in could come in and make suggestions. And of course, we'd have them documented and have them looked at the board level. So we are, of course, very optimistic that we will get these things right soon. And we have no issues at all. If people want to come in and make suggestions. And even the dumb and the ignorant could very well have something to say that
I
could
was the only one dumb or
have some,
ignorant, but
have, have some positive influence. So
okay.
the truth is that we will embrace anybody who wants to come sit with us, give us some ideas, give us some pointers, and if they make sense, then of course we're gonna embrace them.
Okay, so I think Rudolph, I spoke to Rudolph a while ago, and he mentioned that there was a youth development program initiated by FIFA, which Jamaica was one of the selected countries to participate in the program. How is that program going? And will that program allow us to achieve some of our objective in terms of youth development? Because I think there was an expert
Yeah,
they
man.
provided to Jamaica. What's the status of the program?
Absolutely. That's the same TDS program, the
Okay.
talent development team, right? And FIFA financially assists, and they have. In fact, we would have had a TDS coach that, for some reasons, had to be replaced. In fact, you're waiting now for his replacement. But I think that it's just unfortunate because he would have done a good job so far. And part of the whole program is the talent identification. And we have 4 scouts, one in each of the 4 regions. And the scouts' roles and functions ought to be to look out for young, talented players so we can have them in a formal setting. And we take these players into the Captain Burrell Center of Excellence and have them looked after by proper coaches, again, including people like Speed and Maron Gordon and Peart and others. So that's where the direction that we really want to go right now.
So, Percy, are you
Identify
saying
young
that
talent.
people in the rural and country parts will no longer have to complain about them not getting a fair opportunity? Because that's been a historical thing, right?
I know. And even in the days when the West dominated our national program, there were still complaints. So as it is now, like I've said, we have a scout in each of the 4 regions, and that scout must look out for young, talented players. And Captain Burrell Center of Excellence can house up to, I think, 50.
Wi-Fi problems again. Not good, people. This may be a challenge. Hopefully he doesn't have to run, because I know he's in Mobile with the girls team. And I know that there's a lot happening there. And I haven't even touched upon the girls yet, because that's part of my question that I have. So let's hope he comes back. I think I'm losing him. As you can see, we're going through that hourglass thing. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I still have a bunch of questions to ask people. This would be unfortunate if I've lost him. I thought Wi-Fi in Jamaica were first world standards. What happened? And by the way, people, if you see me overly focused on the quota question, because in reading through the manifesto, it was one of the things: enforce a Jamaican-born quota system for youth players, right? We know we have talked about this topically. We know that Rudolph has mentioned this, but it's part of the manifesto, which means it's a bravery to put that in writing, frankly, to have a quota system. And I have some ideas. I hope others have ideas to assist, because I do understand the aspirations, goals, and the objective of the JFF in terms of making sure locally developed players get a chance to play in the national team, being seen abroad. Because sometimes, even though you may be good enough, you may not have the right agent or the right access and opportunity. But I still think you're doing so at the denial of someone who has acquired their Jamaican citizenship and passport. And I know many disagree with me on this, and some do, that every citizen in every country should have the same rights and privileges. And even though it's aspirational and it's something that the JFF wants to do, which I think is the right thing and a good thing from that respects, the method you deploy or employ to achieve that goal, quotas cannot be the right approach. And I know there are a lot of, if you hear Alan Skillcole, if you hear Maverick, and they may not say that he talks about balance, he doesn't use quota. If you hear a number of people, you hear Stewart from Harborview talk, you hear the head of the JPL talk, and that's why the JFF had the pressure on them, because when you're trying to run for election, you got to satisfy your constituent. This is probably part of the pressure that they have received to satisfy those constituents who are local and may have a different view from those who may not reside on the island. But I do think that needs to be addressed. And if people can come up with ideas to allow youngsters to get an opportunity, but then don't deny those overseas from doing so, we will have utopia. And so hopefully we can get that. Hopefully he comes back, because or he can come back, because I know that there seems to be a connection issue, actually. Because I have a number of questions based on the manifesto, because whenever organizations or politicians or those in leadership make promises, I want to know where we are in all these programs that were promised. And then second, there's a bunch of other questions, whether it's related to the Reggae Girls or otherwise, which I think needs to be asked. So I would love to ask those questions. And those of you who I see in the chat who have perturbed about Kranky not being tough enough, I can understand where you're coming from, but we're going to do it my way. Like Frank Sinatra says, the late Frank Sinatra, we're going to do it my way. And I say my way satisfies you at the end. But the president was good enough to decide to come on, and hopefully I can get him back. Right now, he doesn't look optimistic, actually. And I don't plan to stay on long after the interview, people. So if he doesn't come back, I'm going, because I know my family is looking like, okay, we have this competition we agree upon. We're going to finish the family day because it's Thanksgiving Day, people. So please hit the like button. There are 200 of you in the chat. It's only 123 likes. If I take time out of my busy Thanksgiving day from my family to do this, you can just press the like button. Some of you are doing the same thing, listed this, and I appreciate you being here. All of you are here. Whether you're in Jamaica, you're in the UK, you are in the US, I appreciate you being here. You could be someplace else. Those of you who are at Thanksgiving, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving with you and your family, and things are going well. And I hope all your wishes, if they're good ones, they all come true. Let me see what some of these comments say. It doesn't mean it's bad Wi-Fi. The SP having a problem, which is very frequent. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a technology expert. So you have to forgive me. Devon, bless up, Devon. Happy Thanksgiving also. Thanks for being here. Brian said he has a few respectable questions. Now I have a whole bunch of questions on the girls' chorus, but I wanted that to get to in the meat of the program, right? Because he mentioned Lorne Donaldson also. And, one of the questions that jumps up is that you had a brilliant coach. We got rid of the coach. They want to go back and revision his history and looking more prospectively forward. But, we got to have some of these discussions. Thanking God for sitting up at Shadan. What can go? So, LB, are you in America? LB, are you in America? Florida Kranky playing kissy face politics isn't very good, but I'm going back to the tax. And there's some people, as I say, Jamaica, you can't please everybody. I'll try to please Kranky first, then we try to please, so I don't know what you're talking about. Interesting. I'm just trying to go through the comments, people. Paul Edwards, who must be the brother of TikTok and Football Guru, so the quota system is fair for the youth level. Paul Edwards, you always are clueless when you're talking about. Here's the thing, Paul Edwards, you don't understand Paul Edwards. Let's say I'm Calvin Phillips, who, by the way, wants to play for Jamaica, or I am Omari Hutchinson, or I am Antonio, and I'm 17 years old, and I went and got out of my way to pay money to get my passport and my citizenship. And I know in England I'm not really well accepted, even though they tolerate me. And I asked to come play for Jamaica. I'm the best player on the team, and they tell me no. And I'm a citizen. How does that work, Paul Edwards? How does that work? Is that okay, Paul Edwards? That's okay. You think that's okay? So it's not meritocracy. It's based on where I was born, the country I was born in, not my citizenship. I live in America. I'm a citizen. I'd lose my mind if somebody tell me I don't have a right to citizenship or anybody who live here, given that the Constitution says that I do. The JFF Constitution said they don't discriminate. So, Paul Edwards, you're okay with them violating their own Constitution? That's what you're saying. I find that interesting. Huh? I find that interesting. Very interesting. Actually, I find it nonsensical. I understand what the JFF is trying to accomplish, and it's an aspirational goal, but we need to fix the root cause, which is the coaching, the resources, the facility. Because as I've said before, Jamaica has never produced a world-class footballer. And they ain't going to produce a world-class footballer by giving positions to players just because they're born locally. Okay? We've never produced a world-class footballer. Something has to change. Ghana has, Cameroon has, Ivory Coast has, Nigeria has. Yes, they're a bigger population. But I've been told by people in track and field that per capita doesn't matter because we're an elite people and we have elite physical attributes. So all we probably need is the technical side of football. So when people like yourself, Paul Edwards, come here and have your perspective on things, and it's your opinion and view, but it's always skewed one way, it's never objective, then I have a problem with it. Seriously. We have never produced one world-class football ever, Tyrell. Never. And if you think Kranky is losing his mind, tell me the person who's a world-class footballer. In fact, I can only recall one in the English-speaking Caribbean. I had that on my program the other day. And that one person is probably Dwight York. And some may say he wasn't world-class, but he was excellent. He won Champions League. He played for Man U. He played for Villa, a number of other teams. So in my view, give him his resume, give when he's done his world-class. You guys tell me if Kranky's talking at the side of his mouth, the other world-class footballer we have produced from Jamaica or any of the English-speaking Caribbean. St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent, Grenada, Antigua, whatever it is. Please tell me. I'll be glad to listen. Yes, and if we're big, strong, and fast, it suggests we're not technical as we would dominate, right? And by the way, people, our offsprings who were born overseas in England, some of them were world-class footballers, a number of them. And the ones we export. So John Barnes, to a lesser extent, Raheem Sterling, some people may say he's not world-class, but he's close to world-class. We haven't produced a Raheem Sterling who was born locally. He was born locally, but we didn't produce him. We didn't develop him. We didn't produce John Barnes. That's a problem. Right? That's a problem. Yeah, Tony. But I'm just saying some people have a very narrow definition of world-class. They may say Zinedine Zidane is world-class. Perla was world-class, but they may say De Bruyne is world-class. They may say Yorkie is close, but there's different perspective. But yeah. Shamar Scott, Brian Kranky, Butler gets 6. What is that? He got 6 what? What's 6 you talking about? I know we didn't produce Sterling Granero. I say he was born in Jamaica. So was John Barnes. I didn't say Jamaica. I've just said we didn't produce him. We don't produce Sterling. We didn't produce John Barnes, even though to me those players are either world class or close to it. So if in football in the Caribbean we're not producing them, why we think we're going? Why? Here's the thing, people. As a black person, we can't have black people discriminate against black people. Like that's ridiculous. We can't have people who are born in the U.S., born in England, don't feel part of the society, and we discriminate against them when they're from individuals who are, their ancestors are Jamaican. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So yeah. TikTok will never be interviewed by me. He doesn't want to be interviewed. TikTok doesn't want to be known. I've called him out. I've asked him I will send him my resume. I've also called him out. Him, football guru. I don't think Paul Edwards deserve any of that recognition. But him and football guru who come here and consistently criticize and comment and play devil's advocate and anti anything that is said in this chat. I would love to interview them on my program. Love to. They have the eggs, TikTok and football guru. You can come on any single day you want. Yes, you can. Chris P, you can call in. I mean, my concern is that if the person come back, I'll have to cut you off. Right? I'm not going to stay on long, people, because I said my family's sitting there waiting for me patiently. I thought I would just do an interview and jump off. The president may not be coming back. He may not be able to get connected, so that's unfortunate. And look, people, when you're doing these interviews, I know some people like the contentious interviews and they want all the tough questions. Part of this is information gathering. Part of this is being informed and educated. It's not all about beating like some of you guys like to do. Because if people not beating, you don't want to be on the program. You love to go on the programs that do beating. My job is to gather information, garner information, get information, be informed. It ain't to beat people. I'm going to do the interview my way. And if you don't like it, people, I can't help you. Sorry. I'm going to get to the same place you want me to get to, but not the way you want to get there. Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Good evening, Christy.
Christy, you have 5 minutes because you'd like to talk long enough. So you have 5 minutes.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving. To start.
Same to you and the family.
This quota system here, I would like for someone to challenge it in court in Jamaica. I really do. I would.
So why don't you do so? Why don't you do so?
I am not living there.
Yeah, but you don't have to live there to challenge it. You probably can engage somebody there to challenge it.
I think about doing that because if this can stand, then it will have ripple effects in Jamaica on a whole. And because a business person can say, look, I have a quota, she said the business is Montego Bay. I have a quota where I only employ people from Montego Bay, right? Because if you can have a quota where you discriminate against certain Jamaicans in one area, how do you say justification cannot apply in other areas? Or do you say a quota cannot apply in other areas? A quota can be, we are not going to take people with dreads. We are not going to take people of a certain height. You know what I mean? Because laws and rules have to apply across the board. So
Look. I think the U.S. had quotas in the concept of affirmative action, which is courts have now struck down. But in those cases, though, it's systematic and institutionalized the disparity between the races and what blacks have gone through in this country. And it was like of a makeup to say, you know what, let's allow the generations that come to catch up. And at some point, if things become equitable in the society, I can get rid of those quota system. Well, they think they have reached that point. I don't think we have in this country, but it's been cut out, right? There's no affirmative action anymore. Universities can't make decisions about acceptance based on your race. Race is now on the table. So why are we doing that in Jamaica with people who have the same persuasion, the same race? It doesn't make sense. Come on.
There is no evidence to show that, African Americans are better off because of affirmative action, right?
So is there evidence to show the contrary, that they're not better off?
When you look at African Americans up to 1965, they had, you have affirmative action running along certain other programs that has affected them, in a harmful way, like, welfare program that remove the father from the home. So with those, so you have affirmative action running along other programs that were not helpful. So, that can be disputed as to why they have advanced more. But I would like to see it challenged in court. Because it is, to think about it, it is extremely interesting. Very interesting that there can be, Jamaicans can have a quota against other Jamaicans. I find that very interesting. I find that very interesting. And if the court uphold it and say, yes, it's okay, then it will have a ripple effect across the board. It's just very interesting that it can occur, and and it is not seen as just abhorrent that can go on, and. I don't think it will advance Jamaica's footballing program. I don't think so.
Yeah, look, I understand what the JFF is trying to do. Because the JFF is under pressure from people on the island. A lot of the senior people in Jamaica who are involved in football want a quota. So if a constituent who you're obligated to, who elect you, is like your population who elect you, like Trump being elected by the MAGA group, if they want certain things done, you got to satisfy your constituent, right? And also, there is a larger goal there, which is how do I get exposure to young players and give them a chance to succeed? But frankly, you have high school, you have the club system, you have academies, and the goal should be, why don't we improve the coaching? Why don't we improve the players so they can compete at the world-class level? Because frankly, you're going to end up with like we have the under 20. That's what we're going to end up with. The under 20 got 15 love in 3 games, people. Don't ever forget that. Because they had a quota system. I had 14 players in my phone right now from some of the top clubs in the world who want to play for Jamaica, who had their documents, who were denied access to do so. If you're a citizen, you should not be denied access in the country from which you're a citizen. That is not okay. This is not Israel with the Arabs and the Israelis. It isn't, where they have 2-tier system. That's the only country I know in the world where you have a 2-tier system. Right? And people seem to think it's okay. It's not okay. And the Jamaica Constitution and the JFF own Constitution precludes discrimination. So look, I don't want to kill this whole thing talking about quotas, because the purpose of the discussion wasn't about quotas. What I want us to do, all of us to do, is come up with solutions. Can we have alternative to satisfy everyone in the context of, is there a workaround for quotas to get players exposure without denying someone else an opportunity? Right? And one of the things that people don't realize in the US that has happened is Caucasian males have hit out against affirmative actions. In fact, mainly Asians have hit out against affirmative action when it comes to Ivy League schools. But whether it's affirmative actions or DEI, they're saying, some are saying, I didn't grow privilege, so you deny me my rights. Which one can say that's not true. But the problem is, given the history of this country, one can justify some of this. You can't justify it in Jamaica. It's harder to justify anyway.
People talk about development, for example, as if it's a magic wand, and it's not a magic wand. I personally believe, and people cannot show us the players who would have been world class if they got better development. Identify those players, show us those players, and say, okay, if this player got the proper development at a young age, this player would have been world class. They can never show us these players who are missing out because of a lack of development. And also, I think the JFF is being asked to do too much. I don't think the JFF should be involved in development of players.
Well, I don't agree with that. You know why I don't agree with that? Because I think what we're trying to use is the current construct across the world about how players are developed. If you lack certain fundamental tools to get something done, you have to get creative. That creativity comes from, you know what? Maybe you have a hybrid structure versus the traditional way of doing things. So you asked me, ask the question around how did JFF get involved with high school and the clubs? Because I believe the traditional approach to developing players, like in the countries with challenge of the resources, population size, whatever, needs to be revisited. And they have to get more creative to do this. They can't follow the traditional thing that Spain and England and Germany and all them do. It will not work as well for them. Maybe they can look at something like Uruguay with a small population, but football is embedded in that society. So they take from the industrial world, the first world countries, and they take from some developing nations who are doing really well, and they come up with their own creative ideas and marry all three to allow them to come up with programs and processes and standards and way of operating to be able to create world-class players. We could do quotas all we want. It ain't changing people. And I saw DW asked this question, which is, so they improve the coaching, they improve the fields, and you have 22 players from England, DW. That means the players you have developed is not good enough, and your process is not good enough, DW. If we had athletes, people who run track and field, and we have quotas for them to do whatever they do, and they can run the right time, they can make the Olympics, how does that help anybody? So when you have the players that you guys want to be in the team that come to the quota system, and they're not good enough, and we go get 15 love, is that okay? If you guys think that was okay, that's fine. If you think getting 15 love in 3 games and 9 love from the US is all great and Andy Dandy and it's fine because the quota works because the players get exposure, then that's fine. It's not fine to me.
And the JFF has financial issues, and typically player development comes with a reward, a profitable reward at the end. For example, Manchester United developed Mason Greenwood, and they have profit at the end from that development. When the JFF is developing players, say a player is sold to, for example, Liverpool, for example, will the JFF get a cut after that proceed? If the JFF is going to develop players on that level, will the JFF benefit profit from that development?
I don't know, as I said before, because I don't think you're listening clear what I said. If you can come up with a construct whereby the JFF is part of the program, maybe you work something up between the teams, the JFF, and the schools about this work, right? Do the schools get a cut when the clubs sell players? The schools sometimes develop those players. I don't think that happens. The JFF benefits by those players matriculating to the national team, even if they don't get a cut, right? The JFF gets money to develop football in the country. They shouldn't be thinking about getting cuts. They should be thinking about helping the players be the best players, and they benefit. They also play in the national team. They win tournaments. They get proceeds from those tournaments. Do the club get proceeds from the tournament when the JFF win? And when they come third in Nations League, when they make Copa, do the clubs get money? No.
I'm not sure.
No, they don't get any money. So at the end of the day, the benefits will be derived at some point down the road. It may not be immediately derived. It will be derived someplace down the road. The national program benefit from those players, and the clubs will benefit if they sell them directly. And the good players are good enough, and they improve the national team, and they win tournaments, or they do well in tournaments. They'll get sponsorship from FIFA or whoever the apparel companies, and they'll also get money from tournaments that they participate in. Right?
Kranky, today I was watching Dwight York, in Trinidad. I was watching some of his speeches and stuff like that. And he was at the chalkboard and talking, and I'm like, why didn't Jamaica give Dwight York a chance?
Yeah, but we're going on a different path now, right? They gave McLaren. We don't want to talk about. So let me just say this: we don't want to talk about giving Dwight a chance. We're not giving coaches a chance. This is not a testing ground. They should go get the most qualified coach for the team. I mean, Trinidad. Why didn't Trinidad give him a chance before now? I mean, think about it.
But to me, he comes across as a professional.
He was a professional, but it doesn't mean that he can coach. Look, people like Dwight York have been groomed in the media. They were excellent players. I'm sure they have learned a lot along their journey from some of the best coaches ever because he was a brilliant player. But Frank Lampard doesn't show he can coach. Wayne Rooney doesn't show he can coach. Steven Gerrard doesn't show he can coach, even though they get opportunities over again and again and again and again. The best players sometimes don't make the best coaches. Even Zidane, who done well at Real Madrid winning 2 Champions League, people say he's not a coach, he's a manager. He's a people relationship person. Even Ancelotti, who's won a ton of things, people don't give him he doesn't get what Pep Guardiola was a very good player and he's deemed to be a brilliant coach. Klopp is deemed to be a brilliant coach. Mourinho's deemed to be a brilliant coach. Mourinho and Klopp were a big football player. Arsene Wenger wasn't a big football player. So this view that a very good football player, maybe to translate his or her ideas to the players on the field, is a fallacy. It may happen, it may not happen. It's a 50-50 thing. It may not be 50-50, maybe 70-30 in terms of those who spend time learning the game. Because players sometimes just play off muscle memory and it's almost innate to their being. It doesn't mean that they spend time actually learning the game and imparting knowledges to their students. It doesn't really mean that.
Yeah, when it comes down to football, I just think that there's something about football that Jamaica struggles with. I don't know if it's the mental, if it's the technique, or if it's the intellectual part of the game, but it's something that it doesn't translate for Jamaica. It doesn't translate at least at the local level.
Yeah, some other people want to call in. So I must say I have to run. Some other people want to call in because they're texting me, so they want to call in. But I appreciate the call. All
right, thank you.
All right, thanks. So people can call. Those who want to call in, you can call in. I've just dropped the number. I wasn't gonna stay on. I'm not gonna stay on more than 50 more minutes, people. I think I've lost the Pressy for good. I don't think he's coming back. I know that, as I said before, people in Jamaica, they're in there. The game is tomorrow. A lot is going on. So unfortunately, the connection wasn't the greatest, but I appreciate him coming on. And I know some of you are not pleased with the interview because you want the more confrontational type interview and confrontational question. I don't operate that way. My guests have to feel comfortable, and they can get uncomfortable at some point with some of the questions because they will occur. Because I'm going to ask the questions at some point, but it ain't going to be, I'm trying to be in your face and trying to prove a point. I'm not trying to prove any point to anybody. I'm trying to get information and impart that information. So I operate. No, look, I mean, I see Frank Lampard is going to coach Coventry. I'm shaking my head because I hear, what's his name on Talk Sports, Simon Jordan talking about, blacks don't do this and blacks don't do that. Did Dwight York put his resume out? Did he get a chance to coach anybody? People like Lampard, who are Caucasian, can be coaching forever. They don't need the money, but they're going to get jobs. Wayne Rooney get jobs, no matter how much they fail. And that's why affirmative action was important in the U.S. people, because not everybody get the same opportunities. Not everybody get the same opportunities, people. Right? We got to understand that in life. Life is not fair. Gerard gets to go to the Middle East and make millions and probably don't pay any tax on what he makes. Rooney gets another job, still losing, still getting more. I have no people I know that work. There are a bunch of people. Sol Campbell, Dwight York, there are a bunch of people who got their badges, can't get a job, no matter how much they try. Then they say they have attitude and all sort of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know, people. But at the end of the day, my view is this, which is this. And part of the reason why I want to do this interview is, and I wanted to go to the manifesto. I have the manifesto in front of me, people. I haven't gotten to that yet. There are a bunch of promises made by the JFF when they were running for office. And I heard Maverick say this the other day, which I think is important. He basically says, and obviously this doesn't apply to JFF as much, but he basically says, if you're the JLP in Jamaica, you've been in power for about 8 years, what you're communicating to people should be more about what you have done versus what you're going to do. Now, the JFF made a number of promises, including quota, when they were running for office. So there are a bunch of things about tighter administration for touring parties, social additional funds, financial assistance to stakeholders, professional league, establishing a strategic business unit. All these things I wanted to go through today because I had 50 questions in the people, and that doesn't even include the list of things I have on the manifesto that I want to talk through. Now, some of these questions get, when somebody's interviewing someone, you have to keep on crossing out the ones you're not going to be asking because they may have talked about it before, and you may not want to go back. But there's much more questions yet to be asked. Now, if you make promises, frankly, for example, I want to know where you are in those promises. Were they pie in the sky promises or are they achievable promises, right? So I want to talk through those, but hopefully I can get him back at some point in time and talk through some of these things. And also, I think I'm going to try to reach out to Dennis and have him back on because I want us to get like quarterly updates about what's happening to JFF. And also, those of you who are in the chat who really have interest in Jamaica football, you want the football to improve, you want to add value, let's try to figure out how we can collate some of your suggestions. They may not all be escalated and evaluated, but none of us have all the answers, right? None of us know everything about everything. And people may, as the president said, and I put it in my more euphemistic term, questions may come from a place you don't expect it to come from. And that question can be something that's very, very useful. Or a suggestion can come from somebody you don't expect to come from or a place to come from that you can utilize that can be very beneficial. So I would love to, when you make comments, because a lot of you make comments on some of these streams that we have, love to get your question, love to get your perspective, love to get a solution. We'd love to have I have my views on the quota and what we can do or not do, but love to get other ideas so we can impart those ideas to JFF. As I said, the president has always said this. Now, the first time he said this, he's an open book and he's open to suggestion and he's open to sitting down and taking advice. And maybe, and you hear Dennis says this, which is they listen to the criticism sometime, they listen to proposals, and they effectuate to put in place some of these suggestions that people bring out, right? Which is very, very important. Because I keep telling people this every single day. Every company, not every, but most companies you talk to nowadays or sell your product or you engage with, they want to do surveys. They want feedback about how they're doing. And they take the feedback from any place and anywhere. And what they'll do with that data, they'll take the data, they'll manipulate the data, they'll parse the data, and they'll figure out where the trends are, and they'll focus on those trends. The JFF should be doing the same thing. Most organizations should be doing that because feedback is an imperative to help you to improve. So with that, thank you, Black Prince. Thank you, Black Prince. I appreciate the comment. I know I get beaten. I hear Claudine upset with me that I'm doing the floor interview and other people are upset. And then I realize there's a method to the madness, right? There's always a method to the madness. Yeah, so TikTok believe that these people will bring recognition to the football programs. I don't think Chelsea needed recognition, TikTok. He went to Chelsea twice, even though he was a legend there. Right? I don't think Villa needs recognition. Gerrard ran him into the ground, even though he did well at Rangers, and Emery went and saved them. I'm sorry, but other people should be given an opportunity to succeed or to get a chance when you have failed. And it's not like you are like a Marino, who has a resume to leverage, or some other coaches who may have done well someplace and don't do well some other places, because sometimes it's about the players, not the coaches, frankly. You get chance of a chance of a chance, no matter what you have, and you keep failing. At some point, go try another discipline because it ain't your thing, right? It's not your thing. But anyway, people, let me just close up by saying this. First of all, I do appreciate everyone being here. Second, I do apologize, even though I don't have any control about this, for the president not being able to complete the interview. I do appreciate him coming on in the first place, because when I reached out to him, he agreed to come on, and then we were supposed to meet yesterday. Luckily, I anticipated him not being able to make it, because I knew that if you have a big 2-game series coming up, he's going to be pulled in all 10 different directions, which is probably what happened when he fell off the stream, because as you can hear in the background, they're at the hotel in Montego Bay preparing for the game tomorrow. I appreciated him coming on, because he could have said, you know what, I'm busy. Let's do it some other future point in time. I tried to make sure I was available, even though I have Thanksgiving with my family, because I want to get this done. I want to bring information to these platforms that we can deem to be useful. My goal and objective is for us as a people to be better than what we are. My goal is for the football program in Jamaica can be a catalyst for general society at large, and the football can be better. The football needs strategic thinking. The football needs resources in terms of coaches, facilities, etc., etc., etc. By the way, someone asked me about, I'm not sure if people are familiar with lacrosse. I'm going out of my remit. I'm going out of my purview. I'm going out of my comfort zone. But when I try to get somebody who, I hear Jamaica is ranked number 8 in the world in lacrosse. I don't care if it's pinball. That's an achievement for 3 million people or 6 million to be ranked number 8 in the world in anything, a sport that's played across different jurisdiction domains. So I'm going to try to get the person who runs that program to be on. Hopefully he can join me at some point in time and talk about it. There are other elements of that I want to talk about, which have application outside of lacrosse, which I want to discuss, which is very, very important. I know some of you are like, lacrosse, Megan, because I know so you want to talk about anything except football and reggae boys. But anyway, let me just say this. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Today's what? Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. If I don't see you, talk to you, engage you, have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully my team Arsenal give another lesson. They've given 2 lessons recently. And hopefully Pep Guardiola will stop stop beating himself up and scratching his face and his head or whatever else he's doing. Because when you're that successful, you should take losing better. He's not taking it well. All right? One of the groups of my girl play lacrosse in college. So one of the group, you can join me. I'm going to try to get a interview in with different views to it. Tony says, Clyde Best of Birmingham, who moved to England 17, is probably the world-class player from the Caribbean. I know about Clyde Best. I didn't realize that, actually. I didn't know. I don't know him that well enough to say he was world-class, but maybe he was, Tony. You know more than I am. Bless up, Tony. Any stream for the game tomorrow? I have to find out, BM. And you know what? Maybe. I don't know the girls enough to do stream. I hate to do streams when I'm not as informed as I should be. But I'll come back, BM, about that. Maybe I'll drop a thing in one of my comment section. But I don't know about it. You know what? Let me look this up. I don't think there is, but I can check online right now to see if, because I have an app which should give me, if there's any such thing, it should give me friendlies. So let me look. I know people know more than me. Let me look. Premier League, Italy, Ukraine, World Club friendly, women's friendly, Jamaica, South Africa. I don't see a link. 1 second. It says no channels found. So this app, which brings all the games and all the location, doesn't. But I would assume that maybe Military Guna is going to broadcast the game. JFF got. You know what? I want to get to the women's thing, people, and that's part of the whole question, which is, I had what? Let me just see right here. I had 3, 6, 7, about 7 questions on the regular girls specifically. So unfortunately. All right, people. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. And I'll say peace out. Good night. Happy Thanksgiving. And if you're shopping at Black Friday or Cyber Monday, whatever it is, have fun. Don't spend too much money. Don't spend what you don't have. Peace out. Good night. Kranky life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk and it's free, yo. Kranky life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Kranky life, tell them. Kranky life, heed them. Kranky life, want them. Kranky life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose because Kranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Kranky life, tell them. Kranky life, heed them. Kranky life, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Kranky life, get to know the name because Kranky analysis is never lame. Kranky life, give me my Kranky life. I want my Kranky life. Must have my Kranky life. Whether it's football or track and field, Kranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Kranky life. Tell them, Kranky life. Heed them, Kranky life. Want them, Kranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Kranky Live. Tune into Kranky Live. Like up Kranky Live. Subscribe to Kranky Live. Kranky Live coming to you on weekdays. Kranky Live sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Kranky will always bring the heat. Kranky Live. Me say fi tell them Kranky life. Me say fi heed them Kranky life. On them Kranky life. Kranky life will be around. Kranky life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them. Me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them. Want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them, Kranky life, Kranky life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life, Kranky life, Kranky. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed, want, heed them.